Hello and welcome to It's Not Just Magic podcast. I'm your host, Cassie Clayton, and today we have Michelle Marie with us with Astrological Tarot.
Hi,
Michelle,
Cassie.
to have you with us.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored.
Absolutely. How have you been?
I've been good, really busy. The holidays are a busy time for psychics. Everyone's going through stuff. So, and then everyone's making new resolutions in the new year that they want to stick to. So it's been a busy time.
Yeah, I can attest to that. It certainly has. So, one of the things I want to ask you is because you've been doing your business for quite some time now, and so can you share with us a little bit about like your past, how you knew it was the right step to take, like kind of how you stepped into this world and knew that this was your journey?
Well, when I was 9 years old, I tell everyone this, I went on a Girl Scout trip and we were getting our astrology badge, or astronomy badge, I should say. And my best friend at the time was looking up at the stars and she goes, "Oh, that's Delphinus, that's Aquarius, and that's my sign." And I'm like, "What's that?" And she explained it to me and I was intrigued. So I went home and went to school the following week and went to the library and started getting books about astrology. And it was my way to get to know people because I grew up in a military environment and we moved all the time. So I had to make fast friends wherever we went. And one of my icebreakers was to try to guess someone's sign. And so I would read all of these books and then just ask some basic questions. And I found that when people were younger, it was easier to tell what their sign was because they hadn't really grown out of that personality that they were born into. And then as they got older, it became more complex. And that's when I started getting into the other planets and how they were interacting with each other. And then looking at what was going on in the sky at the time and comparing it to how people were reacting and behaving. I also really got into world events and tracking what was going on in the sky then as well. And just bringing it up in conversation. Like someone would say, "Well, who do you think the next president is going to be?" And I'm like, "Well, Clinton's chart looks like this." And of course, I'm like 10 or 11 years old, I'm a kid talking about this, and, and then this person's chart's like this, and, and during this event, this happened. And so people are kind of looking at me like I'm strange, but kind of fascinated at the same time. So I was kind of like the weird kid that people kind of wanted to have around because I was interested in something different and new and intriguing. And I was also interested in getting to know people. So, and people like to hear about themselves. So that was kind of my in. I went off to college and I joined a sorority. And just naturally, I would try to guess people's signs when we were going up through a process called Rush. I got into the one I wanted, Kappa Alpha Theta. And one of my sisters there knew a gal who ran a metaphysical clinic and recommended me. And so I went in and I met her, and it was, gorgeous store. She had all the crystals and books, and, she had, tarot readers. And she said, "What do you know about astrology?" We had a great talk. And I started working for about, $20 a chart, sitting down, talking to people about the things that I'm seeing. And that was really good money back in the early 2000s. So that was like 2001, 2002. So that was amazing that I could actually make money just talking to people. It was like, what? There's a job for this? So I did that for a while. And then it just expanded from there. I mean, I think the biggest change I've seen was COVID really brought all of my clients to Zoom and to video conferences. And it has taken my client base from a more local level to a international level. I've got clients in Africa. I've got clients in Eastern Europe. I have clients in Australia. I have a new set of clients from the UK. It's amazing how this digital movement has opened the doors for not only astrologers and consultants and things like that, but just business in general. I mean, working from home is great. I can get a lot more done. I've got all of my stuff here. It's comfortable. I've got a more flexible schedule. I think it's fabulous. So.
Right. Well, and exactly to that point, I was talking, I recently was talking to my parents, and they were like, since my birthday's coming up and I haven't had a
Yes.
car for a while, they were like, hey, can we help you like get a car? And I'm like, I can think of like 10 other things right now that would be more beneficial to me, my current lifestyle because of COVID. And and I'm like, if you would like to help me with something with my business, because I think that that's why they're wanting to do that, is if you're really wanting to help me, let's look at the things that like here are the things I actually that would like help and make my life like easier as a business owner. And it's crazy enough because like 2 years ago I would have been like, yes, I need the car. Now I'm like, I'm good. I'm all right with it. Because everything has been on Zoom.
Yes.
And I love the fact that you mentioned that COVID has allowed your business to go on an international level. Because that's something that I found as well with through my business with Stargazers. It's like the people that I'm meeting and talking to are all over the world, all over the country, all over the world, and so it's just like I know that there's so many things that COVID has made so much harder for people, but it's nice to also see like the flip side of like, this made this kind of awesome, in some respects. So what for you, as you were getting into the tarot and everything like that, and into astrology, is there one story that really stands out to you that really made like a profound impact on you or an impact on your business?
Well, I recently, a few years ago, started buying books from a woman her name is Komilla Sutton, and she is a very like world-renowned Vedic astrologer. I mean, she's in every group you can imagine. She's got multiple books out. She's highly connected. And I started taking classes from her. And I'm going to take my third year of classes from her. It's very advanced based astrology, Vedic astrology. And in my first class with her, she's going over what's called our dharmic chart. So you have your birth chart, and then you go 9 divisions deep into your chart, because Vedic astrology is very complex. You go into your dharmic chart. So what you're set to do in this life, okay, what your dharma is. Dharma means right path, what your life path is. And she goes, oh, Michelle, oh, you've got Ketu and Mercury and Pisces. It moves over from Ashleisha, and then you've got Ketu down here in your Rasi and in Scorpio. She goes, you're a mystic. You've done this in past lives. You're just remembering. So I went, I'm just remembering this. Like, she goes, oh yeah. And then it looks like you're going to be working from home down here. So she just basically solidified my entire business in front of me, everything that I've been working on up until that point. She said, you're going to be working from home. You're going to be doing Vedic astrology. This is where you're going to make another, source of income over here so that you can really keep your practice going. And she said it in front of the entire class, and they went, what about me? What about me? And they're like, well, she goes, your interest in Vedic astrology is here. You're working on it in this lifetime. But Michelle is remembering, you're learning. And I went, whoa, that was just chills, confirmation that I was on the right track, because I was thinking to myself, Vedic astrologer, Jyotish practitioner, how am I going to make a living at this? It's like, most people don't even know what it is. How am I going to sell this? And I do marketing, and it's worked out, but it was really good confirmation from this amazing Vedic Jyotish practitioner that I was on the right path and I was doing the right things. So that was like a big aha moment for me, and it gave me a lot of fuel moving forward.
That's awesome. What's something that what is something that has been like your biggest struggle with this business?
Oh goodness. People asking for free stuff.
Right.
I know you get that. You're in marketing.
Right?
It's like, why can't, I mean, it takes you what, 5 minutes to do a logo? Just throw something together for me. It's like, oh, you know, astrology, you know, just tell me what's going on. I get so many DMs of people asking for free readings. It's like, I have to eat. I have to put a roof over my head. This is a
Right.
capitalistic society. I'm not living in an, if I was living in an ashram and you were bringing me lentils and gram, and you were giving me the daily vegetables, and I had all of my lodgings taken care of, you could come and I could do your chart for you. But you still have to make a donation to the temple. Basically coming into my DMs on social media and saying, you need to do this because you're spiritual and this is required of you, is not only rude, but it's impractical business wise. We're people too. We are not fairies. We don't live on air. So my number one issue is people not respecting this as a business and thinking that they should get things for free. And I have to put up some very clear boundaries with that. I think all businesses deal with that. So,
Right. But I do think that it brings up a great point, because I think that I think that it shows up more in the psychic world.
yeah.
People not thinking that it's a legit business, and here's the thing, and I'm sure you can attest to this. It's not like we woke up one day and decided, hey, we're going to go down this spiritual path.
Mm-hmm.
This is something you like, and then all of a sudden open shop, and now we're charging what we're charging today.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that takes a lot of time, energy, effort to train and learn, just like any other business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you become an expert in it. Just like when I do graphics and logos, like people ask me, well,
Yes.
how long have you been doing that? I'm like, well, I've been doing it for like 15 years. So there's a lot of things that have gone into perfecting that skill.
Yes.
And you know what, it's just, it does surprise me sometimes when people just do the, oh, but it's just this, oh, but it's just that. Do you think that there's like, do you think part of that may just be that people just don't understand when they look at this, they just don't understand the level of background it really takes to become a professional in this area?
I think it's two things. One, they don't care. They just they want it. And they're just going to ask as many people as they can until they get it. But two, no, I don't think they understand business. It just comes down to that. I worked in retail for a while before I kind of took this on more full time, and people didn't understand that either. Like they bring something in and say, I would like to resell this. What do you think it's worth? And I would appraise it. Like it's a piece of jewelry. I would appraise the piece and say, this is how much I appraise this for. And they would say, okay, well, can you give that to me in cash? And I look at them and say, we have to sell it here. And they didn't understand that there's an overhead in the store. We're paying rent. There is a cost to hold it. There's a cost to insure it. There's a cost to hire employees to sell it. There's a whole process involved with that piece of jewelry going out of my hands into the customer's hands. And you have to pay a certain percentage of my work, my time, etc. And half the time people would walk out in a huff because they wanted the appraised value. And I would have to, again, explain to them how business worked. I was a teacher, so I like to teach people. And I just think it comes down to selfishness, but also just the complete ignorance of how business works. And the average return client and good client is not going to behave that way. They treat you with respect. They treat you the way that a business owner, and a business, especially if they understand business, they treat you and what you're doing with value. Mm-hmm. So, but I do think it is more prominent in the psychic community because it's even more obscure. It's not a hard good. But like I said, I worked in retail and people didn't understand hard goods either. So I think it's just a bit of a barrier for some people. Not everybody's business minded. We all have our different gifts that we bring to the table. But learning to understand where someone else is coming from, I think is key to a good business transaction. And not everybody's got that.
Absolutely. So what is it? So if somebody was coming into this business and they wanted to if they came to you and said, you know, Michelle, I want to be a tarot reader. I want to learn astrology. I want to learn what you do. What would be the biggest advice you could, like, what have you learned in your journey that would be like the best things that you could tell them, you know, these are my top tips?
The first one is do it for yourself, because astrology and tarot are an excellent way to go and introspect on what's going on in your life. It's a way to figure out, why am I here? What am I doing? What am I here to learn? How am I interacting with others? What are my gifts? What are my weaknesses? You can ask astrology. You can look, because astrology is a science. You can peel back the layers there and find those answers. And you can also find them in the tarot. Using it as a personal tool is step one, because you know you better than anybody else. And then I recommend practicing on your friends and your family, because you know them really well as you know well. So what I did when I started, especially astrology and the tarot, was I practiced on everybody. You know, I did it for free because I'm a kid in school just trying to figure this stuff out. And it was interesting. You know, I had a home to go to and I wasn't paying big bills, so it worked. Right. But if you get started, don't expect to just start making money and turning it into a business right away. It takes years to develop this. It takes time. So that brings me to the third step: take classes, get certifications. I've spent thousands of dollars on classes and certifications. We were talking about the overhead that we're covering. You've taken thousands of dollars in business classes and in, I'm guessing, psychic classes as well, because it takes a lot of not only work on your part, but a collaboration with someone who's been doing it for a long time and who has a different perspective from you. So I find that the more classes and certifications that I take, the more that I can bring to the table for my own clients. And I'm also putting some money back into the community, because I feel that that energy transfer is necessary in order to start my own business. It's like, okay, I'm a part of these groups that I have paid into, these classes, these certifications, and we're going to network and help each other through this. So, you know, kind of starting a network outside of the classes and the things that you're doing too. Not going into it thinking only about the astrology and only about the tarot. So even if you've got that craft down and you're maybe a really experienced practitioner, you may not have the business chops. So maybe finding a business coach, getting some books on business, looking at what other successful practitioners are doing, and maybe contacting them and finding out some resources so that you can build your business in a very practical way. I said, you know, some psychics that I talk to are amazing. I mean, they are psychic mediums. They can just tap into, you know, just the most amazing knowledge and wisdom, and make people cry. But they don't know what a spreadsheet is or how to operate a business, you know. So that's a huge disconnect that needs to happen. Otherwise, you know, you're just going to end up being like they call it, a starving artist. You'll be a starving psychic. So you have to understand the business side of things. So I recommend that as well. Oh, let me think. Don't be afraid to tell people the truth. If you get bad cards, tell them what's going on. Obviously, don't rip their heart out and treat them poorly or anything like that. Come from your heart, come from a very empathetic place. I think that being an empath is a requirement for this position, because you're dealing with people's emotions. Also on that note, don't take on other people's baggage. That was a big one for me, especially when I got started at doing this in college. I would go to bed just thinking about those client sessions and I couldn't go to sleep. You know, it was just like, oh my gosh, this woman's daughter just died, or this person's dealing with, you know, a violent boyfriend, or I let it all pile up on me rather than releasing it after the session. So not taking on other people's emotions, but at the same time, being empathetic enough to deliver messages that might not be so easy.
Right.
Oh, having someone in your life that you can talk to, not like about people's personal readings or anything, but just to laugh with and to kind of relax, like just not think about the day as much. If you make, like, everyone has that friend where they call them up on the phone or they text and they make you laugh and just kind of forget all of the horrible stuff.
Right.
Because most people that come to psychics and astrologers and tarot readers are not happy people. They're going through hell. So
Right.
you hear some of the worst things, like childhood stories and just the horrific violence and stuff that you just want to forget. Don't turn to substances, turn to a friend, turn to something positive, exercise, do something that is going to uh, help your own mental health moving forward. I also recommend a self-care regimen. What I do personally is I get up in the morning and I do yoga asanas. Okay, that's the sun salutations. I also do some other yogic exercises that I need to get myself physically ready for the day. Then I go into what's called yogic breathing, pranayama. After that, I do mantra practice. And then I'm ready for my day. Sometimes I'll read a spiritual text, like out of a journal from Sivananda or something, just to kind of get my mind space in the right equilibrium, so that if I get something really negative come my way during the day, I'm ready for it. I've got my shields up. Okay. It can be anything. You could also use crystals, have them in and around your environment to help absorb some of that negative energy and put out some positive vibrations. I know, Cassie, you write a lot about crystals on your social media channel. We used turquoise the other day. Turquoise is very grounding, very healing, so just protecting yourself and your energy as well. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but those are the main ones.
Right. Well, and I'm glad you brought up those points too, because especially about the classes, because it's actually kind of funny because, like, as I go through all my networking and I meet people and they're like, well, I've got this class and I've got this business class and I've got this thing. And I'm like, okay, guys, if you knew what I like, because I already have my classes with the teachers, and I think it's really important to know that when you're working with a teacher, that they've got, like, that they're coming from the right place, that they're really wanting to teach to help move you forward and help you grow. And also that, like, it's that they've taken that journey and gotten where they are too. Yep. And so I kind of have at the moment my certain set teachers that I work with on a monthly basis, it just constantly working and improving myself. And honestly, after having them, I'm like, I won't be without one again, because of the impact that it has had for me. And so, when somebody does come and they're like, oh, I'm doing this class and I'm doing that class, and it's, a couple hundred here, I'm like, people, if you know how much, like, how much I'm already spending on classes, like, not saying that I won't say yes, but I'm just saying I really have to look at it if I'm going to add it to my calendar, because there are already ones in my schedule. And also it's a time thing too. Because I'm certainly one of those people, I could literally spend all of my time in classes, learning, teaching. Like, it can be that forever student. And so, having those teachers, so it's like, I will have to kind of look at managing that time and being like, okay, peeps, I got room and time on my schedule for, like, one or two extra things in the month or the week or whatever. But really the rest of the time, I'm like, because also these are the areas that I want to continue to grow and focus in.
Yes.
And I do feel like sometimes people get bogged down with, they just want to go be a part of everything. Choose the things that are actually going to drive you forward for those pieces that you really, truly want.
Yes. Good business advice.
Yes. So, so any last words that you have for our viewers?
Oh, I love seeing you're an Ashleisha Nakshatra. That's your Nakshatra through Vedic astrology, and it's ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is a perpetual student, and Ashleisha is also a mystic. So I love the fact that you're using your style, your communications, in a way that promotes psychic work, mystic work. I think that's really cool. But just I love seeing this in different in the Gita they call it many names and many forms, and we all take on these really awesome personalities, and astrology highlights all of that. So I just love being here with your energy today, and seeing how you operate and learning more about your business and just connecting. I appreciate it, Cassie.
Oh, thank you. Tell us how everyone can find you.
Oh, okay. My website is astrologicaltarot.com. On Instagram, I'm at Astrological Tarot. On Facebook, I'm Astrological Tarot Reader. On Twitter, I'm Astrological T. I'm also at Astrological Tarot on Twitch. And gosh, I'm all over the place. But yeah, astrologicaltarot.com is my main website. So you can visit me there, send me an email. If you're interested in a reading, Vedic or Western, I can provide that for you. I'm also an experienced and certified, all those classes, tarot reader. So, and I have a show that I do every single week on Wednesdays. It's 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central, and 7 p.m. Eastern. And you can find that on my Facebook and my YouTube channels as well.
Yes, and I encourage any of our viewers to go over and check that out as well. Michelle, as always, it is so nice to see you. I'm so honored that you come over and hang out with us on our shows and on our lives. You've been a previous guest with us over on Metaphysical Happy Hour, and we look forward to having you over there again as well. Just thank you for your time, and I'm like, everything you said, it means so much, and also like reflected right back, because I know you and I kind of connected I guess it's been a minute, huh?
Yes.
A minute ago, and I did want to say, like, because like I also follow like all the things that you put out on your social media as well, so it's all very I love that it's all very informative, and it's kind of one of those that I just always like to go over and check and see what's going on. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on with the world.
Oh,
So
well, thank you.
So definitely. And I am Cassie Clayton with Stargazers Unite. You can find me at stargazersunite.com, stargazers.unite on all social media platforms. It's been wonderful, and we will catch you next time. So, all right, everybody have a good day.